Now here I am with the marketing manager of Heavy Rain, and he's going to tell us a little bit about this very unique title that's been making waves in the PS3 scene for a couple of years now. Now, why don't you tell us a little bit about Heavy Rain?
Yeah, definitely. We're here with Heavy Rain, exclusively for the PlayStation 3. Heavy Rain is an interactive psychological thriller. It's developed by Quantic Dream, who is a French developer who made Indigo Prophecy in the United States or Fahrenheit in Europe. And they're really trying to tell a story in a new way. They want you to be the characters, be involved with it. So they're taking all the elements of immersion and trying to create a really deep, gritty storyline as a search for a serial killer, and then allow you to play 4 different characters as you investigate.
Yeah, now I myself was a big fan of Indigo Prophecy. I mean, a lot of people were iffy on it, but I went in and just enjoyed the ride and really liked Indigo Prophecy. So I'm excited about seeing what's going to happen with Heavy Rain. But tell me, Heavy Rain looks absolutely gorgeous, and people are wondering how the PS3 is able to pump out graphics this good. What kind of things has this development team done to really max out this system?
Yeah, definitely. They've done a lot of really innovative motion capture system to make sure that all the characters look realistic. They're reflected in the actors who actually play the parts. So I think you're going to see an experience that's unlike something else you've seen on the console before. So we're really excited about the visual fidelity, what the characters sound like, and the experience you're going to be playing.
All right, and now we're getting some questions from the chat room, and people want to know what kind of game length we can be looking at.
Say again?
People want to know what kind of game length we can be looking at.
What kind of game?
Length.
Length, sorry. I think it really depends on how you play. So the first key to note is that when you play the 4 characters, each one of them can die at some point. So you could obviously shorten the storyline at that point. It will be reflected in the outcome of the overall storyline, but obviously that'll change the length of the play. It's a very deep game. It's a very long story. There are lots of twists and turns, so it really depends on how you play.
So there's clearly many multiple endings if any character could die at any moment. Now, will any of these 4 characters actually meet each other at any point in time, or are there parallel stories?
Probably the best way to say it is their stories overlap, but they don't directly interact with each other. And I think it's like looking at the story from 4 different perspectives, but they all are in the search for the origami killer, who's the main serial killer of the story.
All right, now another question we're getting from the chat room is people want to know if you have a sort of sanity meter and if you can die from suicide.
There's not really a sanity meter, so you do make a lot of different choices of morality, but this is more about a straight-on story where you will feel like you're in the character because you're making a lot of the interactions of the characters, and then as the full story unfolds in front of you, you get to learn certain things. So it is possible to miss certain things, but it's also certainly possible to learn everything you can about the story itself.
Okay, and now there's some people in the chat room that, they've seen screenshots of the game and whatnot, but they never played any of the previous games of this company. They're not familiar with Indigo Prophecy, so they want to know what kind of gameplay this game has. They're not familiar with it.
So the way I would look at it, and I think we've got some footage on the screen there, is that you'll see a number of contextual movements that you have to make. And again, all the movements are designed for you to mimic what's in real life, so that hopefully you feel more involved with the characters. On the kind of the more just simple gameplay side, there's certainly a series of quick time events and so forth, but there are also a variety of other types of gameplay.
So would a good way to describe this game be an adventure game with some action elements?
Yeah, like I said, we're still pushing towards more of the interactive story. There are certain limitations to what the adventure genre can bring. We think this goes beyond that.
Okay, and another question we got from the chat room is people want to know if there's any chance whatsoever that it could go multi-platform, maybe a PC release.
No, this is exclusively for the PlayStation 3.
Okay, and is the story linear or is it choice-based?
It is definitely choice-based. I mean, that's the whole premise around the bending storyline of Heavy Rain is every decision you make, every action you take, to the Sting song, really makes the outcome come out differently. So there are many different outcomes that you could experience at the end of the story.
All right, and now the people in the chat room are liking the idea of multiple endings, but they want to know, are there multiple endings for each character?
Yeah, although they still play together. So the whole idea is that depending on whether or not a character dies or survives, depending on what you uncover as those characters, will still give you a certain type of outcome. So in that sense, it's more of an integrated story.
All right, now people are saying that Fahrenheit was a very emotional game, and they want to know, will Heavy Rain have the same kind of emotional intensity that Fahrenheit did?
We believe it'll have more so. Hopefully, if you saw the trailers we've been putting out, it's really about the emotional context of what these characters are going through. In fact, there's many parts of the storyline and the game itself that set up the emotional connection between, say, the father and son, or the private eye and some of the characters that he's interacting with.
All right, and now people actually are asking if there'll be any vehicle segments in the game, if they'll actually be able to control any vehicle and drive around the city and explore a little bit.
Not so much as like a racing game, but there are certainly there are interactive moments with the car, is probably the best way to say it.
That's all you need to say. Interactive moments with the car. Any game could have that on the box as long as there's a car in it. All right, now we're actually rolling footage. Oh, we're not rolling footage right now. Okay, now are there any talking points about Heavy Rain? Anything that you'd like to say to get people really interested in it? I mean, release date, things like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you're interested in a great psychological thriller, this is the game for you. I mean, because I think people will have not experienced a video game of this nature. This is a true interactive psychological thriller.
All right, and now another question from the chat room is people want to know which is the first character you play as in the game.
The first character you're introduced to is actually Ethan, who's the father. And like I said, the beginning of the game really is designed to establish his backstory, what has happened to him at this point, and the connection with his son, who obviously at some point becomes one of the victims or is kidnapped by the Origami Killer.
All right, now, we really appreciate you talking to us. It sounds like a really interesting game. We thank you so much. And do you have any kind of release date?
We're looking first quarter of next year.
First quarter of next year. Look forward to it. Heavy Rain on the PlayStation 3. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Back to you, Shay.
Appreciate it.